Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and in. Oh! And the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song.
Wait.
When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast. Post-draft edition. We just did a pre-draft earlier this week. Post-draft today, just with Matt Millen in the building. Matt,
I think people are going to start calling Sam Presti Matt Millen after this draft.
Well, it takes time, doesn't it?
It takes time, but I think this morning, as we're taping this Friday morning, a couple hours after we just talked to him late, after midnight last night or early this morning, I think people are calling him Matt Millen this morning.
Yeah, except Matt Millen was known for his, he'd draft third overall and screw it up. I mean, Presti's.
But,
the thing is, Matt Millen had a track record of screwing up. Presti's got a track record of hitting. I don't necessarily. What?
Cole Aldridge?
Look, every GM.
Byron Mullins?
Yeah, there's misses.
Jeff Green over Joakim Noah? I'm not ripping Sam Presti. I'm not ripping Sam Presti. I do over Joakim Noah, especially when you're playing him at power forward when he averages 5 rebounds. So that wasn't a very good pick. Joakim Noah.
It wasn't a bad pick, though. Cole Aldridge was a bad pick. Byron Mullins, whatever you want to call him, was a bad pick.
So,
but other than that, he's made a ton of good ones.
He's not without fault.
Oh, no doubt
in
about
the draft.
And guess what? I would need to get to the second part of that. I didn't like the picks last night. I don't know if, they'll end up being good. McGary,
you were steaming last night. Let's just put it out there. You were steaming last night. You were ticked off. You had to get out of bed, whatever you were doing, at midnight and come talk to Sam Presti.
I was not in bed at midnight, but I didn't want to be there.
You couldn't be at the bars out in Bricktown, whatever you youngsters do these days after midnight. You were ticked off. You had to be dealing with Sam Presti, talking about Mitch McGary and who? Josh who? Whostis?
I was thinking it's more who?
Whostis?
Yeah, I was like, who? They said Josh Huestis. I know Josh who?
Yeah.
I guess I watched a little bit of Stanford, and now that I look back, I know him, but that wasn't a guy even on the draft radar. I think there was a mock that had him going 57 to the Pacers.
Yeah. Some
had him going undrafted. I think ESPN had him as projected draft rank 90. Didn't even have a scouting report on him. Draft Express didn't have a video on him.
So why didn't you like the draft?
For
the Thunder, for Sam Presti, for what the Thunder got.
At 21, I thought Shabazz Napier would have been a great pick.
Okay, I think most people would agree with you.
Yeah, obviously, and then now the Heat, one of their biggest rivals, especially if they bring the big three back, which now it looks like they probably are. We can't say that for sure, but that was clearly to appease LeBron.
I blogged about that. I don't know if you saw it. It was pretty late when I posted it. I would have taken.
You sent me 4 emails at 3 a.m.
Well, that was about Josh Huestis.
Who?
Josh Huestis.
Okay.
I would have taken Shabazz Napier, and this might be the Matt Millen in me. I would have taken Shabazz Napier just to piss off LeBron.
Yeah.
And hope that he doesn't re-sign in Miami.
Yeah, but what if you do that and then he goes to Houston? To try to break up that team. Well, then he goes to Houston.
Daryl Morey gets all the credit, all this love.
I'm just saying.
Did Houston make it out of the first round?
Yeah, no, they lost to Portland. Damian Lillard. That was a great series. That was a great series.
When's the last time they've been out of the first round?
Not since he's been there, I'm sure.
He gets all this love. He might get some players. He got James Harden due to circumstances that were, out of his control, certainly. Dwight Howard wanted to get out of L.A. Credit Daryl Morey for getting him. I'm getting off topic here, but hear me out. This guy gets all this credit, and Houston hasn't done anything.
I'm not sitting here crediting Daryl Morey. I'm just saying, what if
I'm not saying you are. It's not about you. But then Sam Presti gets all of this criticism. Bill Simmons was up on the draft last night, killing the Thunder.
Oh my!
He was killing the Thunder.
I'm not usually like this. I don't. I'm not banging on analysts or this or that. But it's every chance he gets, he needs to make a little dig at him.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not a Thunder fan at all.
Right.
But it's weird. Yeah. It's weird how he likes to take
He's backed himself
dig.
into a corner. And now he's...
Look, I understand the Harden trade, and I understand his... I'm not saying I agree totally with his criticism. I understand it, but it's to the point where it's not only that, it's little, they picked this guy, and it's a 20-player draft, and they're at 21.
Here's the interesting thing, because they showed the trade breakdown from the Harden trade, the package, the big trade. And the pieces are starting to come together. We're seeing exactly what the Thunder has gotten and is getting. Adams, Lamb, McGary. You got Abrinish overseas. You got Kevin Martin. You can never forget that you got Kevin Martin, who sustained you for a year, made you a championship. It helps you remain a championship contender. If Russ doesn't get hurt, we could be talking about a Thunder having a championship right now, for all we know. So you can never forget that. You added a 20-point-per-game scorer for a year, a rental. And then you traded him in the sign and trade with Minnesota and got this exception. So that's the last domino to drop. You still have this trade exception that it's going to be interesting to see what Sam Presti does with it, because it's the last shoe to fall on the old James Harden trade.
If he uses it, he may.
If he uses it, he may not use it. And even if he doesn't, we still got to wait for Abrinish to come over, if he ever comes over, and if he ever plays with the Thunder, to see what kind of player he's going to be. So, the book hasn't been written in its entirety on this James Harden trade.
Yeah, and I mean, this draft it can't be graded for a few years,
right.
Obviously.
Right. On paper, I can see how people like Bill Simmons and others would say it doesn't look good, but I think that's an incredible for especially where James Harden was. People always forget that. They compare the trade to where James Harden is now, an all-star, an all-NBA player. They don't look at it what he was then, just simply a sixth man.
And he would have stayed one, a really, really, really good one,
right.
But he would have stayed one.
Right. But he wasn't an all-star. He was only an Olympian because the Thunder was a finals team.
I don't want to debate the James Harden trade.
We're debating it because the pick last night, Mitch McGary, was a part of the James Harden trade. We're not talking about the James Harden trade.
Shabazz Napier should have been a part of the James Harden trade.
We're talking about it because this was the selection that you got from Houston via Dallas, or Dallas via Houston.
Whatever.
Yeah, so, Steven Adams was part of it. Hey, you know what, man? We're killing Josh Huestis.
Yeah.
But I was researching him really late last night.
You can research anyone in the...
No. I'm not talking about watching film and all of that, like highlights. I'm talking about his story.
Yeah, I know.
The guy is a really good dude, from what I can tell on the outside.
Stanford, I'm sure he is. I like to consider myself a pretty good guy, but, I don't know if I should be playing two guard for the Thunder.
So you don't want to talk about James Harden, but you want to talk about your potential for playing two guard for the Thunder?
No, I'm saying he may be a great dude, but that doesn't mean he was a great fit. I think I would have went Napier at 21. And look, maybe I'm going to look dumb with this, but I would have went Napier at 21 and then Kyle Anderson at 29. I think that Kyle Anderson, guess who Kyle Anderson went to? I know you know.
San Antonio Spurs.
The next pick, that's...
Right after. And I blogged about it. I said, if Josh Huestis ends up flaming out and Kyle Anderson ends up being the next Boris Diaw, who everyone's claiming he is, the Thunder's going to look horrible. Presti's going to look terrible for taking Josh Huestis over Kyle Anderson. Now, I said on our last podcast and many other places, I never thought that they were going after Kyle Anderson. They don't go after those multi-dimensional guys. They go after... And
team that just won the finals does.
And it's smart on many levels because you have guys named Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, and Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, but in some ways, Kyle Anderson's versatile, but he's not a guy that is going to come in and I need shots from Durant or shots from Westbrook. He's a guy that's going to come in and make the offense fluid. He in some ways is a specialist as far as
I get that. I get that. But is he great at any one thing?
Passing.
You got passers. Kevin Durant averaged 5.5 assists. Russell Westbrook averaged 8 assists.
Yeah, but I mean guys that can keep the offense fluid, like a Nick Collison type, a big man that
Mitch
can swing it and bounce
is a heck of a passer as a big man.
Oh my! How many assists do you think Mitch McGary averaged?
Probably 2. I mean, this year, he only played 8 games.
We'll go back to his.
And if you go back to his freshman year, he had the National Player of the Year, Trey Burke, on his team. So
0.6 assists.
This year or last year?
His freshman year.
Yeah, he had Trey Burke on his team.
1.5 last year.
So
big time.
1.5 in his 8 games?
Yeah.
The guy is a heck of a passer. And matter of fact, if you go to his freshman year, I know Basketball Reference does this for the NBA. I wouldn't know how to do this for college players. If you looked at his splits, like pre and post All-Star, for whatever that would be in college, like after February 1st or whatever it is, after January 15th, I bet you his assist numbers were higher because he played more and more as the season went on as a freshman. I'm really high on Mitch McGary. I think a lot of people know I'm a Michigan fan. I watched a ton of him. over the last 2 years. So I'm a little biased, but I don't even think I'm speaking from a bias standpoint. I think I'm speaking from watching him play more than a lot more of these other prospects.
Yeah, I mean, he could be good.
He's going to be good. I don't think that's a question. The guy is a hard worker. He's a quick learner. He's tough. He's a competitor. He'll do anything you ask him to do. He's a great teammate. I love him, man. He's got a great skill set for his size. He's not the greatest athlete, but he's nimble. He's got good feet. He's a great passer out of the high post with some high-low stuff. He can put the ball on the floor a little bit, like 1 and 2 dribbles from the high post, finish around the rim, get putbacks, offensive rebounds. He's a terrific rebounder. So I love the fact that they added Mitch McGary. I don't love where they got him.
Yeah, he's kind of unproven. Very unproven, I think.
He had one really good year. Surprised
everyone. It wasn't
everyone.
even a really good year. He didn't have a really good year. He only averaged 7.5 points that year. He had a really good tournament.
That's a really good year. When the stakes were at their highest, he showed up.
He's had a good run.
He stepped up.
He had like a great 3-week period. And I'm looking at the game log right now. He had some great games in the tournament.
He didn't carry him, but he helped carry him.
Yeah, no doubt.
They wouldn't have made it to the national championship game without him.
He might have. These are all tournament games. He had 21 and 14 against VCU. Then the next game, he had 25 and 14 against Kansas. Then 11-9 against Florida, a 10 and 12. He had 3 double-doubles out of 4 games to get, to go. I think that was Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, up to the national title game, where he didn't play that well. But before that,
look at his minutes early in the season, though. Like, he was coming off the bench.
Yeah, he was not playing much. He had about 18, 20 minutes a night, which isn't great, averaging about 6 points.
Right. They used him more and more as the season, because it got to the point, he was just like Steven Adams. As a freshman, he was like Steven Adams was as a rookie for the Thunder. You saw a player that you said, wow, we got to get this dude on the floor more. And they were playing... his name escapes me. They were playing someone over him, and then it was like, we got to get Mitch McGary more time. And so they started playing him, and he just got better and better and better. Which, if his name wasn't Mitch McGary, if it was like Jabari Parker or Julius Randle, people would be like, hey, look how much better he got over the course of whatever. And
people did,
top 5 pick.
People did that at the time.
No, but people did that only when the tournament started. But I'm saying, when you look at how he progressed through the season, you're discrediting how he progressed through his freshman season and only looking at his tournament. I'm saying you got to look at the whole body of work.
A little bit. He had some better games later in the year, but he really exploded in the tournament.
Yes, he did.
And he exploded to the point where, it was an awful, awful draft last season, obviously.
Yeah.
But people were saying he was, a lottery pick, maybe even a top 10.
Yep.
Which, a lot of the lottery picks last year would have been like second rounders last night.
Yeah.
But, it could be good. Obviously, people soured on him last year. He had this back injury. And then the marijuana issue, and then what led to this ineligibility?
From my research, yeah. I don't really remember him going through it and what he said about it. But the research I did, he only came back, or he only declared because he was facing a 1 year suspension.
Was that because of
the weed?
Jeez, that was definitely not his first.
I didn't have any idea the NCAA would suspend you for a year for a weed offense.
Well, I think that was probably
multiple.
Yeah,
it wasn't his first offense.
Well, I don't know that, but
something
if it's
for 1 year,
yeah. I know
plenty of guys in college.
Yeah, where OSU, they had I think it was like a warning and then a 10th of a season on number 2, and then I think it was half a season on number 3, and then I think it was full on number 4. I don't know what Michigan's is. But I don't think it was Michigan.
I don't think it was Michigan. And schools definitely don't suspend players like that for a full year. Yeah. So it had to be the NCAA.
Well, then maybe the thing was, I bet, because I think this is what happened. If you fail it, like when the football team goes to a bowl game, they might get randomly drug tested by the NCAA instead of the school. And if you fail it at an NCAA event, then I think they suspend you for the whole season. So maybe it was just a one-time thing, but the NCAA, maybe he was at the tournament last year not playing. They drug tested him anyways, and he was like, "Oh, what?"
It's going to be interesting
That'd be my
because
guess.
he's going to meet the media and the team, and if he hadn't already met most of the people with the franchise and just the community today. And generally, when the Thunder brings in players, they like to do it in front of a group setting. And when I say group, I mean they bring like kids from the
I know.
local
I did it
YMCA.
last year. They did Boys
I know
and Girls
you know.
Club.
I'm telling the fans, the listeners.
My bad. I'm lost. I didn't know we were on a podcast.
They basically do it where the community comes out. It's this sort of big celebratory event, and they try to make it a community event. And this is what we've always said, that's not the best idea, because now you have people like me and you who want to ask him about his weed bust, his positive test for marijuana in front of like 8-year-olds. This is one of the greatest days of this dude's life, and now he's going to have to answer about positive tests for marijuana in front of little kids.
It'll be good for him. I mean, maybe the kids, maybe they should earmuff. Before you ask the question, because I'm assuming you're going to ask a few of them.
That puts me in a bad spot. Like, people are going to look at me like I'm
Please
jerk.
say children earmuffs, and then ask your question.
Yeah, Thunder, it's great that they want to be so involved connected with the community, but certain things are like not for the community. I don't think. I mean,
well,
when you got certain guys, you're asking James Harden about, whether he's willing to sacrifice and take $12 million as opposed to 14 to stay with the Thunder when you got people busting their hump working 16-hour shifts in the room. That's just ridiculous. But whatever, I digress.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Who'd you say you wanted at 29? Kyle Anderson. So that's what that was my point.
I don't know what your point was.
You need some sleep, dude. Keep up, okay?
I know, but I already heard your point. Specialist.
They don't
Guess
like
what? He could be
they don't like multi-dimensional guys to fit with guys who are already multi-dimensional. Think about it. No, think about it.
No,
Reggie Jackson, Serge Ibaka, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant.
But Kyle Anderson doesn't play like that. Kyle Anderson isn't like an attacking.
But you also have Steven Adams and Jeremy Lamb. So, number one, where's Kyle Anderson going to play on this team?
As a stretch, as different positions. He's pretty versatile.
He's
basically a point guard in the forward's body.
But he would step on this team, and is he going to be in the top 7 in terms of talent on this team?
You're right, though. Josh Huestis is probably going to start next year for Tulsa. Tulsa 66. He's going to start for the Tulsa.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's
it's
good.
Not it's not about next year. Neither one of them would play next year. Kyle Anderson. I don't think Mitch McGary is going to play much next year.
Killing it for the Spurs next year.
Good for him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the Spurs. This is not the Spurs. Scott Brooks is not Greg Popovich. Tim Duncan is not playing 40 minutes, 39 minutes a night like Kevin Durant.
But you're acting like Kyle Anderson's skills overlap people. Kyle Anderson is a way more unique player than...
He does things that are a little different, or probably even much different than certain guys on the team now.
Completely different player.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying he's not going to step onto this team and do those things. He's not. You said his best strength is passing. You know what you got to do to be able to pass? Have the ball in your hands.
Yeah. You get the ball at the high post, swing it. Maybe that'll help the offense move a little smoother. Maybe that'll help the offense move a little smoother.
In order to put the ball in Kyle Anderson's hands, you know whose hands you're taking it out of? That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you take the ball out of the hands of Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and Reggie Jackson to put it in Kyle Anderson's hands?
I'm not saying to give him the ball at the top.
No disrespect to Kyle Anderson.
I'm not saying.
I don't know him. I haven't even seen him much.
Jeez.
But why would I put the ball in the hands of Kyle Anderson to say, hey, make me a play when I got Russell freaking Westbrook?
I'm not saying feature Kyle Anderson. I'm saying have him at the high post.
Best, you can't even use.
Does Nick Collison have good at passing? Games where he has 4 assists, something like that, because he's a very good passer from like a forward position.
Yes,
Kyle Anderson could do something like that.
So
high
you already
post,
have
backdoor cut.
So you already have that, and you just got his replacement in Mitch McGary. So if you take, and I know you didn't want Mitch McGary at 21.
No, I wanted Napier.
You wanted Napier. My point is, Slater, they don't like multi-dimensional guys with the core that they have. And on certain levels, it makes a lot of sense. The flip side, the counter argument is these specialists that we're talking about that fit in so nicely with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook in the core are now being called one-dimensional.
Do you think Andre Robertson was a good pick?
It was a weak draft. They moved up 3 spots to get him. I won't say it's a bad pick, but I'm not sold that it was the best pick.
Okay, somebody
Who
like
was behind him?
I mean, they could have got like Tim Hardaway Jr. somebody like that.
I would have preferred a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. You already had Jeremy Lamb.
Oh no, Tim Hardaway Jr. went 24.
Yeah, he went 24th.
Robertson
Rudy
Rudy Gobert went right behind him. Archie Goodwin.
I loved Archie Goodwin. Loved him.
Yeah, it wasn't a great draft, but I guess my point. Do you still think Andre Robertson can be solid in this league?
No doubt about it.
Then why did they get Josh Huestis? It's the same pick to me.
I agree with that.
So you were talking about
That's
overlapping skills in the Anderson stuff. I mean, they got Robertson.
Well, they got him
year.
because Thabo Sefolosha is not going to be back.
Okay, why do you need two of those guys?
Because one's going to be in Tulsa all year, as you so eloquently put.
I mean,
he's going to be starting
for
your
for the title in the D
champion.
League next year.
Tulsa sucks, by the way. Like
they were bad last year.
What's going on? Like all of these guys that the Thunder gets that don't really play for the Thunder.
Well,
why
the thing
aren't the
is,
66ers better?
Well, last year they didn't. I mean,
right.
they only sent
Steven
Robertson.
Adams stayed,
yeah, they were probably
Robertson was kind of killing it down there, though.
Yeah, he'd go and have triple doubles or near triple doubles and stuff.
That's one of my two biggest beefs. That's my second biggest beef with the Thunder's draft. You know, and I think Chad Ford put this in his grades this morning. You just had this draft last year.
Somewhat. I don't think
Steven
Adams
and Mitch McGary are two totally different players.
And Adams is solidified himself like center of the future, unique type of player with a huge ceiling. McGary's going to be like a backup four.
He's going to be Nick Collison.
People keep saying that.
I mean, Nick Collison was a terrific scorer in college. He's going to be what Nick Collison was in the NBA for the last 8 years.
I think that'd be a good career.
Yeah. So basically, they got a 10-year role player at the 21st pick, which for 21 is not bad. But that's my biggest beef. I think you could have got him at 29. Why didn't he just try to trade the 21st pick for a proven player now and or a veteran or a future pick and move back or keep your 29th pick, take McGary at 29.
Yeah, Huestis at 45.
Trade 21 for a future and someone's, mid-second. Take Huestis with that mid-second and take McGary at 29. Like, I don't think Sam Presti maximized his asset.
I got an idea. That people might say you get mad because you helped Miami. You like McGary, you like Huestis. Trade 21 to Miami for 26 and a second rounder. At 26, they come up and take Napier at 21.
At 21, right.
You take a 26 pick. You still have your 29th pick. You get, somebody else, Kyle Anderson maybe.
Okay.
Then you also get Miami's second rounder, who actually ended up being Samaj Christian, who came here.
Right.
But then you have their second rounder. You get Huestis in the second round because he was going to be available.
So who would you take at 29?
Kyle Anderson.
McGary,
so then you get McGary,
Anderson,
and another guy. Or, you ship 29 or, you do something else. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Miami was needed to get up to Napier, clearly.
Right.
They gave up their first and their second to go 2 picks up. So they would have had to go 5 picks up. Maybe you get their future first. I don't know if they'd give that up. But you'd at least get another second rounder to get Huestis. Unless they were thinking somebody was jumping up to get Huestis.
They must have thought someone was jumping up to get McGary.
Oh, actually, I just did read earlier. I forgot about this. I guess the Hornets loved him.
Charlotte. That made no sense, though. I mean, they might have loved him going in, but guess what? Guess what they did with the 9th pick? Took Noah Vonleh.
Yeah.
Guess what they did with the 4th pick last year? Took Cody Zeller.
Yeah,
they weren't going to take Zeller 4th last year, Vonleh 9th this year, and then Mitch McGary with the 24th pick this year.
Yeah, they got P.J. Hairston at 26, which is more what they probably would have, got a guard.
Right. So I don't know. I just think they could have traded back and gotten McGary a little bit later and maximized that asset. But what do I know? Sam Presti is who he is for a reason.
That's the thing. It's I'm not – we'll see. You can't grade drafts, really. For a few years.
Well, actually, you can, and I'm going to ask you, what grade do you give this draft?
Well, I'm just saying, I'm going to say C-.
You're a tough teacher. You're a tough professor.
I didn't really like the McGary pick, but okay, I've kind of been convinced he could be decent.
That dude is nice, man. I'm telling you, I've already gone over what he does well. He's not.
He's got back issues, which is also a concern.
Which is kind of crazy. Like, how does Sam Presti sit there and say,
yeah,
we don't know how his back is right now? Like,
yeah, that was kind of weird. I was like, so
why'd you draft him?
Yeah.
If Sam Presti doesn't know, let me. Well, I'm not gonna go that far.
I'm not gonna say lying, but like he just wasn't giving you the info he had because I don't.
He might not have known. He might not know what his back is like.
Then that's a strange pick.
But here's the thing: if Sam Presti and his staff doesn't know, I can guarantee you the Charlotte Hornets staff doesn't know. So are they? That's even more reason to believe they wouldn't have taken him. Yeah. Not with the 24th pick. But anyway, it was just weird to hear that they had no idea what his back situation was at the time that they talked last night.
I'm sure they had a decent idea that it'd be all right to spend their first rounder on him.
How surprised were you that they actually picked up 3 players, 2 of which will be on the roster and are guaranteed contracts?
Well, whatever with Christian. I mean, he's a late second rounder.
No, I'm not talking about him. I know. Two of those 3 will be guaranteed.
Yeah, that's the thing that was surprising. I thought 29, they were either going to try to trade that back to get early second round, or they were going to draft and stash a guy.
Yeah.
Or, just trade out of it completely. There was even a little reports right before the pick that they were looking at Glenn Robinson, but then they weren't going to take him. So my thought was, well, maybe they wanted Glenn Robinson, but they just don't want to have another. I mean, they don't want to have another guaranteed guy in the books.
Yeah.
But then they get Huestis. That's a guaranteed contract for a guy they could have gotten in the second round, which is also
idiotic
confusing
to me. Like, you could have gotten him in the second round. You didn't have to have him on a guarantee.
They're going to have 7 guys on rookie contracts next season. 7.
Yeah.
I mean, unless Jackson signs an extension.
I was talking to someone on the way in. They were like, what is the Thunder trying to do? Be the best 25 and under team in the league?
I mean,
and then like it looks that way. You know what I mean? With all these draft picks. But here's the thing I do want to explain to the listeners about the Thunder's draft. And some of you might know it, just listen anyway, but for as many people who don't. Everyone wants the Thunder to go get this proven player, this established veteran, Trevor Ariza, Luol Deng. First of all, you can't afford those guys. But the reason the draft is so important to the Thunder is because this isn't a free agent destination. This is the way the Thunder builds. They have to go out and get their talent through the draft. So whether Mitch McGary, Josh Huestis, and the other guy from Xavier contribute next year or not, these are the players that, like, instead of going out and getting the hottest free agent 5 years from now, 4 years from now, hey, guess what? You got Mitch McGary and Josh Huestis coming up through the pipeline who have some NBA experience by then and are coming into their own as players. So it makes a lot of sense. They're never going to overspend in free agency. And rightfully so. I mean, free agency doesn't guarantee you anything. Look at all the free agents that go places and their teams aren't that much better than they were without them. And the draft represents a chance for them to get cheap talent who they can build, grow, cultivate from the ground up. Nobody has ever had Mitch McGary before. He's going to come in and learn the Thunder way. And that's important. You know what I mean? Like, you're laughing. You seem like you don't buy it. You just want them to go out and get like LeBrons and spend a bunch of money.
No, I was just the Thunder way.
No, I mean, like, the Thunder way is a pretty good way.
I understand. It's just like corny, but
it is pretty corny. But I mean, it's been successful to a certain degree,
no doubt. And I'm not even this might be a great draft. Look, like I said, I would have got Napier at 21 and Anderson at 29. That would have still put him in the same situation where it was 7 guys on a rookie contract, 12 on the roster. They really need to go get a shooter now, I think.
They do, and we'll talk about that more. But the second big takeaway I had from the draft, the first one was obviously, they're going to take who they feel they're comfortable with, regardless of the slot. That was the biggest takeaway. I mean, that just confirmed what we had seen in the past and kind of knew, and now it's undoubtedly that's how they operate.
No doubt.
But the second biggest thing that I took away, in addition to learning that even more that they don't care for multi-dimensional guys like Kyle Anderson, is that size matters. Size is extremely important for the Thunder. And Sam Presti, your boy, Shabazz Napier, he might be, 3 inches taller than I am, and I'm 5'8". So, I don't think they were ever going to go out and get I did think they were going to draft Shabazz Napier. He had the UConn connection. He had the national championship. He's cool with Jeremy Lamb. They needed a third-string point guard to replace Fish. It made sense on a lot of levels. But I kept coming back to he doesn't have great size. Mitch McGary's got great size. Josh Huestis got great size. The point guard, who I know nothing about from Xavier that they got in the second round, has great size. Size matters to this team. So
I'm going to go out on a limb and say
in all future drafts, keep that in mind out there, Thunder fans, that they're not going out and getting undersized players.
It's just size.
Size
and
athleticism.
Length, athleticism. It's worked, but we'll see. I'm done talking about the Thunder's draft. I mean,
you're over it. Like, in every sense of the phrase, you are over it.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to see him in Summer League. I mean, although McGary might not play, so we might not get a look at him. And then, I mean, from the things of it last night, Josh Huestis apparently is a project. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard Sam Presti say he's going to, he'll probably spend a lot of time in Tulsa. He didn't even say that last year with Robertson.
Grant Jarrett.
Yeah, but that was a second-round pick that wasn't even guaranteed.
You could have got Josh Huestis where Grant Jarrett went.
I'm saying Josh Huestis was drafted as he's on our roster right now. Josh Huestis is 22, going to be 23 early in the season next year. So, I mean, he's already older than guys like Lamb, Adams, Robertson. I think he's probably around the same age as Robertson.
Yeah.
And he's a project.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Slater. One more, it goes back to, my point about building through the draft. The Thunder takes players, and they're in a position. On one hand, it's a good thing. On one hand, it's a bad thing. I mean, they've got their stars. They can't go out there and that's the good thing. The bad thing is they can't go out there and go get Trevor Ariza, Luol Deng. They can't go out and splurge on a bunch of money to get ready-made players. They've got to grow those players. And so that's what we're trying. That's what they're trying to do.
My thing is they got a ton
Robertson.
Of those guys.
But that's what they're. I mean, you can never stop doing it though. Like, especially when free agents aren't clamoring to come to Oklahoma City. You see what I'm saying? So this is your best chance, not your only chance, because they could just spend unwisely and just out of control. But this is their best chance to bring in players who fit your organizational culture, grow them, and turn them into players. That's what the Spurs continue to do, and we praise them endlessly now for players that they've made. Patty Mills wasn't much before he went to San Antonio. Danny Green wasn't much before he went to San Antonio. Boris Diaw had one foot out of the league and probably the other one in Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, but it's
before
weird.
He went back to San Antonio.
But it's weird because of the style the Spurs play fits towards that. Whereas the style of Thunder, they got these two guys that, understandably they give a ton of the offense, a ton of the, creativity to. And then the rest of the guys kind of are floating and doing different things. They play different than the Spurs, so maybe they should have a little bit of a different.
That goes back to the structure, the system, the style. Which I've talked plenty about. Like, I'm not about to start sitting up here and ripping Scott Brooks any more than maybe he thinks I already have. But, like, if they had a better system, some sort of structure, some sort of identity on offense, you wouldn't see Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant having to do it all. These other guys would be better contributors. But, that's who they are. And, until they make some changes, that's who they're going to be. But I don't think that means you need to stop attacking the draft and change your approach the way you do and change your approach. Like, I think they're doing the right thing.
Don't you think they needed, instead of Huestis, who they are,
Kyle Anderson?
Well, yeah, a guy that they feel like can come in next year and like he can.
That guy was not in the draft, unless you were in the top 11, because Doug McDermott was the floor for the guys that could help the Thunder next year.
I don't know about that. If they could have got up and got a guy like Adrian Payne, or if he had fell, I think he could help as a stretch 4 next year. I think Shabazz Napier could have helped.
I don't think those guys would have played next year.
Why do you say that? Robertson got minutes this year.
McDermott's twice the shooter that Adrian Payne is. Napier is not going to play over Russell Westbrook and Reggie Jackson.
Well, Russell Westbrook and Reggie Jackson are going to play a lot together.
They are. Which
Did
means
Derek Fisher play this year? There's minutes.
Shabazz Napier is not a 5-time champion.
There was minutes for Napier. If he turned out to be good, they picked Huestis and immediately basically told us. I mean, he's not. He's a project.
Right.
I don't know.
But I mean,
we'll see what they do in free agency.
The only difference between Houston and a Huestis, which I thought his last name was Houston when they first said it. I don't think they knew who he was. Not the Thunder, the broadcast. The only difference between Huestis and the route everyone thought they were going to go, maybe with the draft and stash, is that he's a guaranteed contract. Who, by the way, is going to make like $900,000. $1 million at the most.
It's just a roster spot
as the 29th pick. So yeah, but you didn't really that roster spot wasn't going to go to. They still have more, potentially 2 more.
Probably 2 available.
Potentially 2 more. They can go out and get
Mike Miller.
Your boy Mike Miller.
That would
my guy Anthony Morrow.
Morrow.
I think it's Anthony Morrow.
Well, I know some friends who have the same last name and it's Morrow.
I know some people who are named Robert or Roberson, and Andres is Robertson.
You might be right. I don't know how he necessarily pronounces it. I know how it's usually pronounced.
So, I mean, this offseason has only begun. It's not even July 1
No doubt.
yet.
And I'm not, like I said, I mean, McGary, even if Whostis doesn't play a minute in the league, bounces out of the league.
Are you going to call him Whostis all year?
Not if he starts, if he announces who he is to the NBA. But if McGary turns out to be a great pick, it's a great draft. Even if one of these guys turns out to be like a very good rotation player, it's a good draft.
Right.
And McGary, according to you, got a Hall of Fame written all over him.
Hey, I'm not gonna go to Reggie Jackson, Steven Adams route just yet.
I was gonna say, who's gonna be a better long-term player in the NBA, Steven Adams or Mitch McGary?
Mitch McGary's got a better skill set.
No,
he does. He's got a much better skill set. He's a better shooter. Like Mitch McGary can step away from the basket and hit the mid-range jump shot.
Steven Adams projects
is way more athletic. Way more athletic.
Steven Adams is a rim protector.
If they didn't have Serge Ibaka, I mean, I wouldn't this isn't a dream, but this isn't like
it
ideal.
Is. What's that shirt say you wearing? Right?
Hail to the victors, baby. Go blue. Anyway, if you had Mitch McGary and Steven Adams as your starting 4 and 5, that wouldn't be bad for like a rebuilding team.
I don't know. I need to see a little bit more of Mitch
as
McGary.
A championship team.
I need to see a little bit more of Mitch McGary. He didn't start his freshman year, and then he exploded for 6 games, and then he didn't play last year because of a back injury. I'm not ready to anoint Mitch McGary a future NBA,
I don't even think he's going to be a starter. I don't even think he's going to be a starter.
Not next year.
I mean, not ever on this team he's going to be a spot starter with Ibaka. No, but he's going to be a spot starter when Perk gets hurt, maybe not Perk because Perk probably won't be here. But when Steven Adams gets hurt, Presti said he's a 4-5. He can start at center next to Ibaka.
Adams is going to start at center.
Yeah, I'm saying if whenever Adams might get hurt or injured or has to miss a game for whatever reason, I think Mitch McGary could be a spot starter. But I see him more as a long time NBA role player coming off the bench.
All right. Anyway. I'm done talking Thunder
He's
draft.
over. Anthony Slater, ladies and gentlemen, is over the Thunder draft. Let's move on.
I mean, I'm going to be writing about it the next couple of days, so I can't be over it. Two quick questions. One, are you wearing that Michigan shirt to McGary's press conference today?
Can't.
Could go up, shake his hand? How you doing, sir? I loved you at my alma mater, even though it wasn't my alma mater.
I'm conflicted, man. I can't do that on the first meeting. But he will see my Michigan paraphernalia throughout the season. He will know where I stand. So, Mitch, welcome to OKC, baby. Glad to have you.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, probably should be cut from the podcast. I need to go soon. So let's talk a little bit of the rest of the draft.
Let's talk more about Napier and Anderson.
No, I don't want to talk about Napier and Anderson. Let's go top of the draft.
What
really matters?
Andrew Wiggins. Agree, disagree?
Agree. That's who I thought they should take. It sounded like they weren't going to. They sounded like they were going to take Parker, but I thought they should take Wiggins, and they did.
Yeah, I don't think they could go wrong with Andrew Wiggins. I think Jabari Parker is going to be the best player in this draft. I think Julius Randle is going to be the second best player from this draft class. Second best, I do. Joel Embiid, I think he's the wild card. He could be the best player in this draft. He could also be Greg Oden. I have no idea. So
nobody does really at this point.
Right. So, but I'm not mad at Philly for taking that flyer on him at number 3.
So where do you think Wiggins fits in?
Right next to Kyrie Irving and
No. I mean, as best players in this draft.
I would,
because I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna have a better career than Julius Randle.
I'm not sold that he's going to have a better career than Marcus Smart.
Well, I think Marcus Smart's gonna have a good career.
You think Marcus Smart's a Hall of Famer?
That's false.
Okay,
we'll see.
Does your boy Marcus know that you don't have him going to the Hall?
Let him play a game first.
Okay. I'm excited about Summer League, not just because for the Thunder and, I wish Mitch McGary was going to
Boston
play.
is in Orlando.
Boston's there, and guess what? Brooklyn's there. The Thunder's first game is against Brooklyn, and your boy, Markel Brown.
He's going to have a couple of nice dunks in the Summer League.
Jeremy Lamb, watch your head.
Yeah.
Hey, but Jeremy Lamb can go at him too, though. He
can't dunk like Markel.
Did you see Jeremy Lamb in college?
Yeah, he had a couple nice dunks. Did you see Markel Brown in college?
I'm not saying that he...
Look, Jeremy Lamb can throw down, but
yes,
we're talking about one of the best college dunkers ever. I think. No.
Ever?
Yeah.
Ever?
College. He was a nightly on the...
He wasn't better
ESPN
than Jason Richardson.
No, there's not many better than Jason Richardson. I said one of. I didn't say the.
All right.
He had a full resume. He did have 4 years, and Lamb only had 2, but he can throw.
I keep talking to Jeremy Lamb, most of the time.
You keep talking to him or talking about him?
No, talking to him.
Do you dream about Jeremy Lamb?
Talking to him after games about when we're going to see him do some of the things he did at UConn in terms of, whether on the break or in the half court, just throwing down a nasty dunk. And I think he wasn't comfortable all year. Just because, he didn't play as a rookie. He finally started getting minutes as a second-year player, and then all of a sudden, he wants to keep his spot. He doesn't want to mess up a easy 2 points and then get yanked. So I think next year is going to be the year that we see Jeremy Lamb pull some stuff out of the bag.